All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Veritas Road. Carson and Murph. What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much, man. Ready to talk about some fun stuff today.
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we've got something really fun to talk about. I wouldn't call it fun. I'll take that back. But it is exciting.
I would call it interesting. I don't know that
Yeah.
I'd call it exciting.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Got nothing more to say to that. Continue.
Yeah. So, our initial segment that we're going to start everything with from now on, is that the plan?
Yeah.
We're going to call...
Whose idea was it?
Was it yours or was it mine?
I don't remember, but I'm going to take credit for it.
Okay, that's fair. We're going to call... I don't know if I can say this on here currently. Are we keeping this clean? How clean are we keeping this?
Depends on if you want to be monetized on YouTube. So you can just do, do a Robert. Do that.
Oh, so we're calling it on the news?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
All right, so where we just look for stuff on the news that's just absolutely ridiculous, and share it with each other. Because we each see crazy things on the news so often, and it's we find it fun to talk about.
Yeah, we all need a good laugh.
Yeah. So what you got for me this week, buddy?
Well, let's pull it up on the screen here, dude. Check it out. ISIS.
Are we still talking about ISIS?
Apparently. That's first of all, that's half the reason it's so funny. I mean, wasn't ISIS so 2014?
I know, right?
It was a thing in 2014, and then it somehow turned to ISIL. And
what does that mean?
So ISIS is the Islamic State of something. I don't know exactly what it stands for, but then ISIL is the Islamic State of Syria, maybe, and the ISIL is Islamic State of Levant. So it's switches.
So they're different factions?
I don't know. I think ISIS and ISIL are the same thing. But apparently they're making posters now.
ISIS makes lone wolves threat to Paris 2024 Olympics with chilling mock-up of Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, John, scroll down to their poster.
By a drone.
They made that poster. ISIS has sweet marketing people. Check that out. It's a gift. This is supposed to be real. I mean... Right? Is this supposed to be real? Is this a joke?
I can't tell, because the TV we're looking at this on is so truly terrible. That is ridiculous. So ISIS supposedly made that poster?
Yeah.
Are people buying that to put on their walls?
I don't know. There's a marketing person at ISIS who made that.
Is that what little Muslim children put on their walls instead of Farrah Fawcett posters? They just put that on their walls?
Farrah Fawcett?
Yeah, that was an old reference.
She died the same month as Michael Jackson, right? Like 15 years ago. That was way out of left field, man. Yeah.
Well, in all those old movies, people talk about Farrah Fawcett posters on their walls,
I was just shocked that you just brought such a random thing up, but
I didn't mean to shock you. Are you okay?
It did. I am okay.
That's good.
Yeah. They even wrote "gift" on that drone, and they're on a Game Boy.
They wrote what?
Can you not look at it? Look, it says "gift."
And this...
I guess the gift is supposed to be some kind of explosion or something.
The gift of meeting your maker?
Hey, what does that little logo down in the bottom left on the poster say? Looks like... I can't read that in this lovely TV.
The TV's so bad.
Yeah, chime in there. John, can you read it?
I cannot. It does not seem to be in English.
Oh, it's in Arabic.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's probably ISIS. Is that ISIS's logo? Do they have a logo? I bet
that's
it
a great
is.
question.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to officially claim that that's ISIS's logo. So,
I wonder if they have a marketing department.
Clearly, who made that poster?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, Osama, because he's gone.
He's dead.
Yeah, plus he wasn't with ISIS. Who's the leader of ISIS?
I don't know.
I don't either.
After we got rid of Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden, I stopped paying it any attention.
Yeah, but Saddam, he was with... Who was he with? He was Iraq, wasn't he? Yeah, he was the boss of Iraq.
Yeah.
And Osama was over Al-Qaeda. Or the Taliban?
Taliban. Are the Taliban and
Al-Qaeda?
Whoa!
That's why we can't talk over each other, boys.
Emphasis on Al-Qaeda.
That's why... Are the Taliban and Al-Qaeda different things?
Yes.
Okay. I pay so little attention to current events. I've got to start doing that.
Well, I bet tomorrow the Taliban will come out with a poster in response to ISIS, and then Al-Qaeda will make one for the 2028 Olympics just so they can get their name in there. Yeah. So That's all I have to say. Just ridiculous.
It's like that rush to get to the moon thing.
You're right. Exactly. Instead of the space race, it's the Islamic terrorist group making threats against the Olympics race. Right. That doesn't have as good of a ring. I'll have to think of something better.
They definitely need a better tagline for that if they're going to run a marketing campaign, for sure.
Yeah, just ridiculous, man. ISIS making Instagram posts, basically, because that's what that looked like.
I wonder if they have. Do they have an Instagram presence?
I don't know. We can look it up.
Like, are the leaders of ISIS doing like dances on TikTok and whatnot?
What do you think Tunic Tune is?
Oh, I love that video.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so entertaining. Can we play like 30 seconds? No. How much can we play of that?
None. It'll be copyrighted, I'm sure.
I thought you could play like a small.
No, especially not if
seconds.
you're like talking about, this kind of stuff. You ain't gonna have any leeway, so don't risk it.
That's unfortunate.
Don't risk it. We need some money. We need a little bit of money. Ad revenue.
Yeah,
I want people learning about better help. In a 15-second commercial right before they watch our video.
Those are everywhere.
I know, man. Is it? You think that's natural?
I mean, like therapy's good. But
who owns BetterHelp? I wonder.
I don't know. Ooh, that's a great question.
It is a great question. That's why I asked it.
I am suspect of therapy that doesn't happen in person. I've never tried like remote therapy, but it does. I'm suspect. It's got to be better than nothing.
Yeah, I don't know.
For sure, it must be better than nothing.
I don't know. Well, that's our article.
Yep, and that was on the news, and that is wild.
Mm-hmm. It was the first thing on Drudge.
Are the Olympics this year?
What?
The Olympics are this year?
Oh yeah.
I had no clue.
Yeah, it feels like it's shorter because of Corona in Japan. Wasn't it Japan? Tokyo was 2020, but then they bumped it to 2021. So it seems like it's less time because it is less time. But that's why it feels like it's so quick.
That makes sense.
Yeah, there's Winter Olympics too.
Which Olympics do you prefer? Ooh, that's always a good question.
I don't care, dude. The Olympics are boring.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think I might have watched the one in 2008 because Michael Phelps was like, riding a wave of popularity. But I don't give a crap about either one of the Olympics. I mean, I respect the athletes that do it, but I don't want to watch it. It's boring.
Really?
It's just my personal opinion there.
Dude, I love watching some like ice skating. I find it entertaining. Luge. Dude, I got so into curling. When the U.S. became good, it was so entertaining.
You were in that curling phase and your cricket phase.
I did watch cricket for a while, and that's a weird thing for somebody in Tennessee to do.
That's right. It's like a bunch of isn't like India and Pakistan into cricket and all that?
Yeah, India, it's real big. South Africa, it's huge. It's relatively big in Australia. There's a decent amount of it in like Western Europe and like England and other countries like that. Okay. Cricket's more popular than you realize.
Well, you can advertise it on your own time. We're not here to talk about cricket.
That's right. We're here to talk about freaking curling, dude. It was so fun. I was in a bar when the U.S. won the curling thing in the Olympics. I've never heard more drunk rednecks screaming about somebody skating rocks across ice in my life. It was wild.
Yeah, curling, is that like ice bowling? I've seen a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Where they're like sweeping.
Yeah. It's like shuffleboard, but on ice.
Yeah, that's better than ice bowling. Yeah, shuffleboard. Yeah. Shuffleboard's fun, man.
I've never played shuffleboard because I'm not 80.
I played it on vacation when I went on vacation in 2003, and it was a lot of fun. So that's all I have to say about shuffleboard. It's fun.
Fair enough. So
are we done with the obscure sports? We're moving into something
Am I
else.
done talking about those?
Yeah.
I think I'm finished.
Right,
I think I've gotten it all out of my system.
Got a formal closure. What are we actually here to talk about?
Well, so, I mean, you brought this to my attention a few months ago, maybe a year ago now. The story of the Kandahar giant, which I think is not one of the more popular conspiracy theory stories out there. It may have become more popular in the past.
Well, I mean, kind of in the cryptid, kind of Sasquatch community, it kind of is, but
it does have a Sasquatch vibe about it.
Yeah, kind of like a monsterish type feel.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight.
Yeah, dude.
So, I mean, just to refresh my memory, run me through the whole story, because it's wild. It's a whole military thing, and there's a giant and a whole bunch of stuff. It's crazy.
I'll try to sum it up. So Kandahar is this place in Afghanistan. I think it's the second biggest city in Afghanistan. And I looked into the etymology a little bit, and it's a bunch of people squabbling over where the name came from. But one of the leading things is that their theories is it was named after Alexander the Great in 330 BC. So just fun fact there for anyone who wanted to know that.
Wait, Kandahar was named after Alexander the Great? Named for him?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound anything like
Well,
Alexander the Great.
go look at the Wikipedia article and see all the proposed names. Doesn't matter for this story. I just thought I'd throw that little fun fact in there to give a little bit of context. So it's a big city in Afghanistan. It's surrounded by mountains. Afghanistan was all the rage and after 9/11 because of Osama. I get Osama and Saddam confused, y'all. It was Osama.
Afghanistan was Osama.
Yeah. Taliban and all that. So we invaded Afghanistan in 2001. So this story allegedly happened in 2002. So it's right in the thick of the very beginnings of the war on terror. We hadn't even gone to Iraq. Everybody was still in, attack Afghanistan mode.
People were still eating freedom fries and all that nonsense.
Right. Me and you are probably just barely old enough to remember that. A lot of people don't even know what that is. We've been fighting over there for so long. But imagine a time when it was new. That's what we're talking about.
Imagine a time when it was new, kids.
Yeah.
Way back when.
When this eternal war in the Middle East was only like 2 years old. All right, I'm getting sidetracked. 2002, there's this group of Marines. Right out.
Quick correction: Army Green Berets.
Well, no, it didn't start. So I read a little bit about this today. It didn't start with Green Berets.
Yeah.
It started with another troop.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Butted in from John over there.
What a jerk.
Yeah, it's
trying to fight John. I'll fight you right now.
That'd be fun. We should have that behind a paywall. You and John just wrestling. Or MMA. Wrestling sounded really weird.
Seems a little.
I regret saying wrestling, and I'm going to switch to MMA.
That might be something for our OnlyFans page.
Yeah. Oh gosh. All right. Well, we're definitely getting demonetized now. All right. So back to before I was rudely interrupted. It was a group of Marines that went missing outside of Kandahar, right? And normally, from everything that I've watched a lot of on this, in the Army, if something happens, you're at least going to have time to send out a distress signal or something, even if you do get ambushed by a bunch of bad guys.
How are you going to have time to send out a distress signal if you get ambushed?
Well, unless you're have a bomb directly dropped on every single one of you, everybody's got comms, and somebody is going to relay to backup that they've been in a firefight.
Okay.
Right? So
I see your point.
Even if two of your buddies get shot, a third guy back there's like, oh crap, my buddies got shot, relay to base. So what was so weird about this is there wasn't any communication. They just went radio silent missing.
So there's a team out there,
right,
of
Marines. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Marines from everything I've looked at. So they go missing, and the Army has or the military, all of them over there have if you don't hear from them in this amount of time, do this, or there's a
contingency plan.
Right, there's 4 or 5 contingency plans. So they reached the last one and nobody's heard from them. So then they send in, as John so correctly pointed out, quotation marks.
Sorry, jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah, a group of Army Green Berets to go find them. So these guys are everybody hears of Navy SEALs, but the Army Green Berets is pretty much they're top dogs too, right? They're just not in the Navy.
You ever heard that song about them?
There's a song about them?
Dude, John,
sing
look that up, and we'll play a couple of seconds of it.
Carson, you are going to give us a copyright strike. Just sing it.
You can play it for a couple of seconds.
All right, fine. You risk it.
Right? Or can you not?
You risk the biscuit.
Can we not play it for a couple of seconds?
No.
Ain't nobody paying us right now. If this video
copyright
gets
strike.
monetized, demonetized, what are we going to lose? Nothing.
All right, whatever. Just play it then.
Right?
Okay, I will look into it. Keep going.
Keep talking.
I don't remember what I was said because I was interrupted.
We're talking about the
Green
Green
Berets, Navy SEALs. So they send them to go look for them. So they're going out there in the mountains. They can't see any sign of them. They're walking out in the wilderness, and then they just eventually happen upon a goat trail leading up into the surrounding mountains of Kandahar. So they follow this goat trail. I don't really remember for how long, but probably for a little ways. And they notice a sharp drop off of the goat trail, and it leads up to this little a cave with a bunch of boulders surrounding it. So it's a big cave, but like a big cave opening, but there's a whole bunch of boulders around the cave opening.
And the terrain in Afghanistan's like pretty like mountainous and cavey, right?
Right. It's like the western Himalayas. So when you think of the Himalayas, you think of like, Bhutan and Nepal and stuff, and Mount Everest, which is way over near China. But the Himalayas continue a long way to the west too. So Afghanistan and then Pakistan. So it's very mountainous. In addition to it being a desert, it's it's mountainous, it's cavey, and they see immediately. So let me back up. The guy who's telling this story, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but it's from the perspective of one of the. This is the first person, like a guy who was there. This is from one of the Marines, and he said that one of the Army Green Berets, and he said he saw.
Wait, and the Green Berets came after the Marines had already been through.
Correct.
Why were the Green Beret? So the Marine, they lost contact with the Marines?
Yeah, they lost contact with the Marines. The Green Berets are looking for them.
Okay.
Long story short, this guy notices like United States, like you could tell it was comms from the U.S.
Like on
a
the
bunch of
ground or
gear,
something?
Yeah, like a huge, like he said it's some kind of radio, some kind of big radio that was destroyed and like in a bunch of fragments, and he could see bits of clothes, like uniforms, and bits of bones. Now he couldn't tell if it was human bone, but it was like, hey, that's a bone. So immediately everybody's on edge and like, hey, there must have been some kind of ambush that happens here.
Right.
So everybody is real tense when he sees this bone. And they're like, they've all equipped with M4 rifles, which is like, an automatic version of an AR-15. It's like a assault rifle that shoots automatic.
Yeah, I read a little bit about it today, and somebody said they had like 308s and 50 cals with them.
Yeah. One guy had a 50 cal, but most of them had an M4. Before it this was so sudden that they didn't even have time to react, according to this guy. From the cave, they hear like a screaming noise and a huge, what can only be described as a giant, a guy who was 12 to 15 feet tall, with shoulder-length red hair, with 6 fingers and 6 toes, and one guy even said he had multiple rows of teeth, comes charging out of this cave and throws a 11-foot long pike and impales this guy's buddy who was called Dan.
Jeez.
Yeah. So just like that, before anybody could even do anything.
Yeah.
Once that happens, everybody's freaking out, and they immediately their training kicks in, and they just start shooting. Like they described it as unloading everybody's magazine into the giant's face, like 30 seconds of solid gunfire before he finally went down, which is like 30 seconds is a lot of time in a firefight, dude.
Yeah.
Like that probably seemed like 4 years to those guys.
I mean, when your adrenaline kicks in, man, every second seems like an eternity.
Yeah. I just couldn't even imagine. So the giant goes down after they unloaded into his face, and one of their guys is down. So it was just terrible. I'll finish the story. They get in a little helicopter comes and drops a bunch of cargo netting, and then the Green Beret guys load the giant up into the cargo netting, and then a big old Chinook helicopter, which is the big ones with 2 rudders, the huge ones, the biggest helicopters you can get out there, came and hauled it off. So then the guys, they write their after-action report like they do after any kind of engagement. They fill it out, and their supervisors then tell them, hey, you got to rewrite this.
Because they talked about the giant?
Right. They were truthful in their initial initial report. And then the supervisors made them recant their story, and basically just sounded like they got in a fight with, Taliban or Al-Qaeda or fill in the blank, or ISIS. Could have been ISIS or ISIL. Could have been the marketing.
I don't think they had rebranded by that point.
Yeah. Anyway, so freaking wild, dude.
That's
freaking wild.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, and what's so crazy about this story is there's a ton of collaborating.
Corroborating?
Yeah, that word. Tons of witnesses
Words are hard.
Who didn't know each other and didn't know that other people had talked about it, have given similar stories. Like the driver. So first is from the guy, and there's a guy named L.A. Marzulli, who is like a huge researcher into all this kind of stuff. He's a big proponent of like the Bible being true and like searching for giants and ancient accounts of the Nephilim.
I saw a little bit about him when I was doing a little preliminary research, and I'm always skeptical of people like that. And I'll tell you what, not that I'm skeptical of like the stories that are shared from people he checks out, but like people who go out to find evidence of a thing, right? Because their perspective is always going to find evidence of this thing, not there's this thing that I think is true, I'm going to go try to disprove it. I feel like that's a more appropriate way to approach a thing like that, personally. But
okay,
does that make sense?
I guess a little bit. So you're saying like going out and searching for evidence of a claim is worse than trying to disprove a claim?
I'm saying if there's something you believe, right? So like if he's probably going into this thinking, okay, I'm going to go out and prove there were giants or whatever, right? Then the most appropriate way to handle that is to go out and try to disprove it.
Yeah, well, he's not just going to take their word for it.
Right.
Like, you know, he at one point, he interviews the shooter called Mr. K, one of the shooters. And he also interviewed another guy who had like been around the same place like 3 years later, but blah blah blah. The important thing is he initially talked to the shooter on the phone like 4 times, and one of the times on the phone he got so emotional about his friend Dan getting like destroyed
Impaled.
by a giant pike that he just like couldn't continue talking and was crying so much and just hung up. So he convinced Mr. K to interview him in person, and he's got a documentary where he like shades him out and morphs his voice into like the weird voice. We can throw a link to that. I have a link on that somewhere.
All right, sorry about that. Murph's mic decided to cut out.
Yes, I had been spitting in it multiple times because we decided that the pop filters were ugly, so we're going to take them off. And then, you know, I'm getting my lips up to it and making out with it and probably shorted it out. So, new mic.
You're just full of the juices of life.
Is spit the juice of life?
Yeah, let's go with that.
We can make a t-shirt and try to sell that. A quote from Carson Jones. Spit is the juice of life.
Yeah.
I'll work on designing it. Where were we, man?
I mean, so you were talking about L.A. Marzulli?
Yeah, Marzulli. I was talking about... Oh, sorry. I meant...
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was talking about, like, how he had interviewed the shooter on the phone. And he was so emotional that he hung up. So that leaves a lot of credibility to either he's a fantastic actor or, like, he really believes this story happened. He's either delusional, fantastic actor, or it happened.
Those are the only 3 options.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, what do I think? Like
that's what I meant by what do you think? Yeah.
About what though, man? About the whole story?
I mean, do you think he's telling the truth?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Fair enough. Why?
Oh man, dude, that's a whole nother can of worms. The giants.
I feel like that's a can of worms. That's a relatively straightforward question.
Well, it might take a really long time to answer. All the legends of giants in human history, man. Like, ancient people were not just dumb and didn't just make stuff up just for the heck of it. They weren't all on LSD.
That's not the question I'm asking. Why do you think he is telling the truth himself?
Well, that's part of the reason,
oh.
Right? So that gives a historical context for giants being potentially real.
Okay.
Right? So it's already something in human history, you know, it's all over the Bible. So that it at least leads to the possibility that they did exist, right? Are you following me?
I'm following you.
Right. Yeah. So if they did exist, then they might still exist. And here's a story of someone who, what does he have to gain by it? He's not telling what his name is. He's not making any money off of it. He's not, trying to sell T-shirts with the Kandahar Giant postered on the T-shirt,
What a great tourist attraction that would be.
He was sick of his life getting, falling apart, he being Mr. K, and, getting railroaded by all of the government things, and was, torn up about his friend dying, and he had gotten a divorce, so he just decided to say, screw it, if they come after me, they come after me. He changed some important details, like the names. If Dan's name, could have been Greg. If his name was Greg, call him Dan. That kind of stuff.
Right.
But telling the actual events of the story, so that the credibility of L.A. Marzulli, like this guy's devoted his life to trying to pursue this kind of stuff, and just the emotion as to which this guy tells the story, the fact that there are I'm never going to be able to say that word. Say it again for me.
Corroborating?
Yeah, that word, witnesses, because there's a different guy who called into this AM radio station. I wrote his name down. Steve Quayle, and he's had talked with the guy who drove the Giant from the site, the cave. I was trying to think of the word for it. From the incident to the Air Force base.
Wait, hold on. I thought you said they picked him up with a helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, so he flew him.
Yeah.
When you say drove, I imagine them in a Jeep. With
I meant flew. Yeah, and he also described very similar things to Mr. K, and also said that the Giant smelled really bad, and that he estimated it weighed about 1,100 pounds because he took the total weight of the cargo minus how much he knew the equipment weighed.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So, what's unfortunate?
Sounds like he was fat. Poor Giant.
Fat. He's 15 feet tall.
I know, it's bad.
Yeah, he's probably pure muscle. Can you imagine? Dude, do you know that is huge, man?
That's horrifyingly gigantic.
Like even Goliath was 10.5 feet tall, This thing's bigger than Goliath.
I've always heard 9.5 feet tall, but...
Yeah, well, which is, so crazy. I'm just imagining my childhood going to swim at the YMCA and how I loved to jump in the 10-foot deep end. Just imagine a Giant sticking up basically a full-grown man out of the 10-foot deep end at the YMCA. That is insanely huge.
It's a fantastic opportunity to wet yourself, yeah.
Yeah. So, those are the reasons why I believe it. I don't... What reason would he have to gain to lie? Just as a funny prank, a hoax that can just spread around the internet? There's no monetary incentive, which is people's main reason. There's no... as far as I can see, defending of any kind of holding on to a worldview, which is another reason to lie.
Attention.
Right. But nobody knows who he is.
Exactly.
Right? So, as far as, that's why I believe, that's why a lot of other people believe it, and why this story's gotten so popular, because a lot of it isn't just some kind of random Bigfoot, claim. It's super specific, multiple witnesses. Yeah. There's my reasoning. Coupled with all the historical context that I attempted to muddle through there. Thoughts?
I think that makes sense. I guess the first thing I think of when I hear stories like that, or any kind of supernatural or otherworldly, type of discussion is, man, how many of those are really true? How many people are being honest, right? And they experience something, whether it's exactly what they say it is or not, but they experience something odd, and they're just reporting what happened to them, and how many people are either just undeniably insane, looking for attention, or what have you. And the things you mentioned that I do think add to the credibility of the story are, there's the fact that, it sounds like, assuming he's telling the truth, it sounds like he didn't have anything to gain. In fact, he had a lot to lose by sharing this, because there's the potential for, who he is, having shared this story, getting out. And if it's something that the government considers to be sensitive, he's risking getting himself in hot water for that kind of thing. And additionally, he doesn't have any fame or money to gain from it because it's anonymous. And so, that limits, a lot of what I would consider confounding factors in the equation of, hey, is this guy telling the truth or not?
Yeah, dude. They also signed non-disclosure agreements. I forgot to say that. So he's got his signature on somewhere in the government saying he isn't going to talk about this, and yet he did.
He did a great job of not talking about it.
Yeah. So, super interesting, dude. And like, just from a like emotional standpoint, what did they tell his wife? Probably told his wife, hey, he got sniped by some random guy in a cave, like some Taliban guy in a cave, or he got blown up by an IED on the side of the road, right? So
I wonder how often that happens.
That was going to be my next point. Like, think of the initial Marines that went missing.
Yeah.
What do they tell their wives and families? Oh, that they got hit by a pipe bomb, that they got in a helicopter crash,
right?
When they actually got killed by a 15-foot tall giant. So it's like the justice of it all too. Like, imagine having to live with that, like the knowledge of seeing people you were close to, because I'm sure they were close. I'm sure he was at least close with Dan. Well, he definitely was because of how he cried and stuff. But all of that weighing on your shoulders and knowing that what they're telling them is a lie, what the government's telling their families is a lie, that's even more motivation to get it out there, and leads more credence to it.
Right.
And that's a great question. How often does that happen? Because we really have no idea what's going on over there.
No, I mean, there's so little communication from people in positions to know those sorts of things. And for better or worse, it does seem to, I think it's for worse. I'll just put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Interesting stuff. Just to touch a little bit on the historical thing, like, there's giants in the Bible. Undeniably, dude.
Yeah.
I have a whole list of Bible verses that I put somewhere. I don't even remember where I put them, so I guess it's pointless to try to reach for them. But the most famous one is, there were giants on the earth in those days. And, Joshua and Caleb, who, for those of you who don't know, were like two of the 12 spies that were sent by Moses into the land of Canaan after they left Egypt, like to go stake it out to see what they were up against, right? And they reported, like these spies reported, that they felt like grasshoppers in the presence of these people that were living in Canaan, and that the grapes there were so big that it would take multiple men to carry them. Now, is that just a figure of speech? Or are there giants there with giant fruit and giant everything?
I mean, I assume it wasn't a horrific exaggeration, but, I mean, you think about some of the reports of, like, just stuff in general, and I know that's a horrifically generic term, but, and I know how much you despise mainstream, quote, science, unquote, but think of all the reports of things being so much larger way back when, right?
Yeah.
That seems to fit with the mainstream narrative of, hey, animals, etc., were just bigger, thousands of years ago or what have you. And so, to me, it seems logical that they existed at some point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like the megalodon, like the huge shark that they talked about being around like 100 million years ago or something.
Yeah. Isn't that like a movie now?
I don't know.
Isn't there a movie about that?
There's Sharknado, like 1, 2, 3, and 4.
I don't know. I saw a commercial for one, and it just looked like the worst movie
probably
ever. It had that guy who was a diver. What's his name? Oh, dang it.
That's so vague.
He was in The Transporter. I should really know his name. I'm embarrassed that I don't. He's super famous.
I don't know. It's already too late.
Yeah.
The thought is gone.
I mean, John could look it up for us real quick. Just look up The Transporter movie, John. Oh, no, there it is, The Meg. Okay, what's the cast? Let me see the cast.
Oh, we're really doing this. We're getting to the bottom of this.
It's if I don't find out, you will see me cry right here in front of you. It's like a brain worm.
That came out in 2018. Wow.
Yeah, I saw apparently they're making a second one. I saw a commercial for it the last time I was at a movie theater, and it looked truly awful.
When was the last time you were in a movie theater?
Oh, when I went to see Killers of the Flower Moon, and I thought it was going to be over like 8 times.
Oh, yeah.
I kept trying to get up to leave. Jason Statham, that's who I'm thinking about.
All right, we've solved it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, Dwight's in that? Rainn Wilson's in that? Wow. Well, that's crazy.
That is a person who has not, will never be able to shake off the character he played.
Yeah. Wow.
Ever. He will forever be Dwight.
Yeah, what a just tank from being in The Office to being in that movie. Anyway, what a tangent we've gone on. Where were we?
That's fine. We're just talking, bro.
Yeah.
It's fine. Tangents are okay.
What if I don't want to talk about the cast and characters of the Megalodon movie that came out 6 years ago?
I was just enjoying talking to you.
You gonna fight me? Like you were gonna fight John?
No, that's not as egregious of a sin, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
quite.
dude. That's a good point. I wonder how well that movie did.
I don't know.
I think it made money.
They made a second one,
So it had to make money.
I know nothing about show business, but I assume that would be the case. Yeah. Yeah. So your thought process seems to be that due to the historical accounts of giants existing, biblical and otherwise,
Right.
along with the fact that this guy can't be that good of an actor if he was breaking down over the phone, and the amount of like corroboration that occurred after he shared his story from other people, it must be true.
No, not it must be true. Man, I believe it to be true. I mean, it could all be a load of garbage, but yeah, I believe it's true.
That's fair.
Yeah, must is a
Fair.
strong word. So, yeah, I think it's true.
Okay. That's terrifying if it
Yeah.
is. I'm going to be scared to go like to the mountains now.
Yeah, they talk. There's a whole giant chapter in Harry Potter about how they talk about, when Hagrid is out there on his journey trying to recruit the giants. He talks. Ron asked him about, like, there's giants around. Why don't the Muggles see them? And Hagrid's like, they do. It just gets reported as mountaineering accidents.
Did.
So it makes you wonder.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, dude. Like, because that giant, if it's real, then he's not the only one. What if he had, like, a wife?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if he had kids?
Parents.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's huge underground tunnels everywhere and massive cave systems. Like, they haven't even explored all of Mammoth Cave, dude. They're still mapping out Mammoth Cave, which is a gigantic national park in Kentucky, and they still haven't explored it all. And they've been doing it for, like, 70 years.
There's so much crazy stuff.
Exactly, man.
Aren't there still unexplored parts of like the Amazon and places like that, I think?
I don't know about the Amazon. I know there's uncontacted tribes. There are like these mountains in like southeastern Brazil or southwestern Brazil called like tabletop mountains that they haven't been to the top of some of them. Which is
Why not?
Because they're extremely remote and hard to get to.
Okay, so like fuel
Yeah.
would be a problem to
Yeah.
make it out to those.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can't think of the word. They're like tiepes. It's a weird word. I think it starts with a T.
Spanish
But-
is not your strong suit, is it?
Well, I don't think it might be Portuguese.
Or Portuguese. Yeah, sorry.
But English is barely my strong suit, much less when I try to talk foreign languages.
That's true. If the word corroborating trips you
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, it's
not
similar.
the easiest
It's
word.
kind of like collaborate, but it's not, So that's why it's really screwing me up. Because I know collaborate. But if I
Right.
decided to collaborate.
Collaborate?
I don't know, dude. I'm just giving up.
Oh my god.
I'm going to give up. Ooh, Texas State, Brazil. So I'm getting distracted by what John's doing over there.
Focus on me.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm focusing,
I
man.
want your attention.
I'm focusing.
I'm attention jealous. I'm the third child, so I like attention. I'm the baby.
Good for you.
I got everybody's attention. That's like a common thing.
Okay.
You're not aware of that?
No, I'm not denying it either.
Okay.
You just got really aggressive.
It's just so.
It's like a common thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just so rare to find people who aren't aware of that. Like the baby is always the attention whore. Whatever.
I'm not a baby. I'm the oldest.
Right.
So
So you're the responsible one.
apparently,
Yeah. That's how that's supposed to work.
yeah. All those stereotypes. Those stereotypes like that. It's like the stereotypes from like Gen X and Gen Y. I'm a millennial, so I do this. Blah blah blah. It's all a bunch of garbage. But
If you say so. I love stereotypes.
well, I like some stereotypes, but don't like others. And you know what? I'm allowed to because I can make my own choices.
Yeah.
about things.
Stereotypes are entertaining. Although the one that I get all the time is like, you're a redhead. You must have a horrible temper. And I don't. At all.
Yeah, you're very even killed.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true. Or you must be a stepchild.
Right.
'Cause you're redheaded.
Redheaded stepchild.
Or maybe,
Yeah.
dude, are you like the Giants kid? Because he had red hair.
I'm 5'10", so no.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll grow. Maybe one day I'll just hit a growth spurt at like 35.
Yeah, maybe you think you're only 30 years old, but maybe you're like Baby Yoda, and you'll start growing when you're like 50. Because to bring it back to giant, how old do you think that giant was, dude?
That's a great question.
Like he could have been like hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know what makes you think that, but maybe.
Well, let me try to explain it. In the Bible, how it talks about, like Noah being like 600 years old or something when the flood came, and like Methuselah was like 900 something years old and all that. Like,
yeah, it talks about people being old as all get out.
Right. And all that started to change, around the time of Abraham and stuff, and like a little bit after the flood. But like I've never met anyone who is that old that I know of. Have you?
Wow.
No,
I've never met a 600-year-old person.
I'm trying to get you. I'm leading you here. All right. Have you? No. All right. But everyone that I know of is approximately 5'8" to 6'5". So what if like when people were taller, they lived longer? That's what I'm saying.
Isn't the opposite of that normally true with animals though? Don't like bigger dogs have shorter lives than like small dogs?
That's true, but like a blue whale like lives like 80 years and it's gigantic.
They live 80 years?
John, look up how long blue whales live. Yeah, they're old.
That's insane.
Yeah, whales are old and they're huge. There's like giant turtles that live to be like 200 years old.
I really want one of those turtles.
There's one named Jonathan. This is another fun fact that has nothing to do with anything, but it was born in like 1842 and it's still alive.
There's a turtle from 1842 still alive.
Yeah, its name is Jonathan.
Okay, we're gonna have to check on that to see if that's still true, because that's wild.
Yeah, John can do that next. We're giving him a workout.
He is getting a workout, but he's a cutie pie, so it's okay. John,
you're a cutie pie.
Yeah.
Dude, we got to replace this TV. Look at I think it's gotten worse. Look at the bottom. I wish everyone could see this TV, man.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't know how old blue whales are, but they're old.
Blue whales have a lifespan around 80 to 90 years.
Called it.
You were dead on.
Dude, I called it.
I'm so proud of you.
I would do so good in Jeopardy. I know so much random garbage.
Isn't Alex Trebek, like, dead? Did he die? Is he okay?
Yeah, he died.
That's sad.
And Aaron Rodgers was going to replace him.
What?
Yeah, or he replaced him a little bit.
Seriously?
Yeah, and the girl from Big Bang did some, like the Big Bang Theory, did some.
Which one?
Like the brown-haired Sheldon's girl.
Okay.
Yeah, not the blonde one. And not Haley, and not the other, not William Shatner's daughter either. I can't pronounce
Shatner's daughter.
I can't pronounce her last name. I'm not even gonna try to. Kuaka. It's like something bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's got the turtle pulled up. See?
How old is this turtle, John?
He's 190.
He's 190.
Currently.
Currently.
And it's still alive.
As of this article in 2022.
Oh, so he's 192 now.
Yes, if it's still alive.
Does he have like arthritis and stuff or dementia?
How would you know if he had dementia?
I don't know.
And he's, I think, technically a tortoise.
Oh, excuse me.
And he is approximately 191 as of 2024.
How do you even know at that point? Like, who's been keeping track of those birthdays? You know?
Yeah,
is that somebody's full-time job? Do they just, like, put another tick mark on the wall every year or something? You know?
It's probably like the tree rings. They'd probably just, like, guess on his shell. But then they have no way to know that what if in, like, 1891 he grew 12 rings instead of just one.
Right.
So, it's probably garbage, but it's still a fun story.
And according to this Wikipedia article, apparently they do have photos of it from the late 1800s into the early 20th century. So that's maybe part of what factors into how they estimate its age.
I really hope that's true. I want to meet a 190-year-old turtle.
Tortoise.
Whatever.
Yeah, well, you're
telling me turtles and tortoises are different, John. I'll believe you for a second. They are the same thing. There is no way those are different. They all look like ugly old men, like cute old men, And that's the end of that. Actually, that's how I feel about that.
Dude, baby turtles are so cute.
Baby
Don't start that. I'll hear enough of that.
Yeah, you got a kid now who's just singing that song.
Don't even speak the name of that song. Yes, he loves it. Okay.
Yeah.
I've learned how to play it on the guitar, so I just don't bring that to this podcast. All right. Let's leave that where it is.
I didn't upset you.
Do that for me and my own sanity.
Oh, hey, we didn't play the Green Beret song.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're determined to get us copyrighted. So yeah, go ahead. Get us a strike.
Do you want to play it later? It's important that you hear this.
Let me pull it back up.
We don't have to play it right now. Then.
Okay. We can close out with it.
Okay.
That's a good closure.
It's a great song. There's not much that makes me feel patriotic. I don't know if that's bad. Is there much that makes you feel patriotic anymore?
Yeah. No.
Like, I remember back in elementary school, you'd get up to say the pledge or whatever during the day, and I'd be like, oh, I'm an American.
That's right.
Freedom fries and yelling at Al-Qaeda and rooting Bush on the TV. It was real America back then.
Did you yell at Al-Qaeda in second grade?
100%.
Man, I hope you did. I hope you had a sawn-off shotgun and were wearing overalls and were yelling Al-Qaeda in Ms. Grimes' class.
I was not. I was quoting Shakespeare and carrying around a science encyclopedia. But part of me wanted to do that. Yeah, every time we, say the pledge, I feel all patriotic. But now, after watching a lot of news, over the years, and just seeing the state of this whole thing we call America, it's like, man, what? It's exhausting. That kind of thing is more exhausting to me now than anything.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. I feel you. Especially knowing that they just lie about everything. Like, you think Mr. K's patriotic anymore?
Right. Yeah.
And that's the people that have actually, gotten off their butt and done something, for this country.
Right.
And that's how you're treated. Yeah, that'd probably kill the patriotism.
There are a lot of veterans who are treated like crap.
Yeah, dude. The VA, that's a whole nother, man, just a nightmare.
Yeah.
From what I hear, I got a buddy who is currently in the Army, who tells me about all the just ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think folks would do a better job of taking care of those people. I can't say anything. I don't do anything to take care of veterans, I guess. But
that's true, but we also don't have millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars.
It's true. I have an uncle who bartends at the VFA.
What's that?
Regularly. Veterans of Foreign Wars. At VFW. Sorry, not the VFA. The VFW in Georgia. Does that count as me doing something?
Oh, wait, they have a bar for veterans?
Yeah.
Well, isn't it like a stereotype that they're all like alcoholics? That's probably not the best thing, right?
Well, it exists. It's
wow. That's kind of. I didn't know that. I've learned something new tonight, and that's depressed me.
I mean, trauma will drive you to drink.
Oh, that's true. And the what is it? The VHF.
The VFW.
Yeah, that's kind of enabling it.
Stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars, I believe.
Nice.
I believe.
So, yeah, foreign wars. Isn't that all the wars? I guess.
There was the Civil War. I don't think too many of them are left.
Oh yeah, the last one of those guys died in like 1950. Isn't that crazy?
That lived a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was a Confederate too. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've looked at that. Boy, the things he could have told.
I mean, I'm sure he saw some wild stuff.
Yeah, dude. And the War of 1812, that wasn't a foreign war. That was basically like Revolutionary War round 2.
I don't know. I'm so bad at history.
Dude,
what was the War of 1812?
It's when we fought England again.
We fought England again?
Yeah.
I really didn't know that.
Yeah, and Thomas Jefferson was still alive, and John Adams was still alive. They ransacked Washington and like burned it to the ground, and James Madison was the president at that time, and his wife managed to smuggle out a painting of George Washington. That's a famous thing that happened in the War of 1812.
Somebody's tearing your house down and you take a painting?
Right, that's the story. Andrew Jackson, stomped them all out of New Orleans in 1814. That was a very famous battle.
Yeah, after the war was officially over.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they had signed a treaty recently that it was over, and then he went and spanked him anyway. Go Vols. He's from Tennessee.
America.
Yeah, he is my favorite president, for anyone who wanted to know.
Andy Jackson?
Yes, sir. And not just because he's from Tennessee. I also agree with his ideologies politically.
His stance on the Fed for a while.
Right, his stance on the bank. Not necessarily moving all of the Indians. That was not great. But
yeah, that was bad.
But
we can agree that was bad.
But his hatred for the bank, yes.
Yeah,
specifically a central bank.
Right. Those don't seem to pan out well for a lot of people.
Right. He was the only president that ever paid off the national debt.
Somebody told me Clinton did, but I think maybe we just didn't have like a surplus that year. Maybe going to worse debt.
Ran a budgetary surplus.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah. So
he did a great job. He was so good. He's just getting ahead in his office and doing a wonderful job.
Yeah. Somebody tell me what the definition of is. It's one of his famous quotes.
That's the quote from that presidency. Yeah. Why are we okay with people like that supposedly running a whole country? Why are people okay with that?
Dude, they're just so busy in their jobs that, especially nowadays, I mean, who even cares? Really? Right?
I mean, a lot of people at least pretend to, dude. All these, like, hardcore Trumpies, these hardcore Biden people, and you got the RFK folks in the middle. Like, a lot of people seem to at least fake like they care.
Yeah, but does it affect the fact that I gotta get up and go to work, you know, on who's the president? Like, no matter who's the president, I can tell you this right now. Okay, this is some Robert Murphy philosophy. No matter who's the president, the prices are gonna go up. Prices always go up every single time. Housing prices go up. Everything goes up. The national debt is always gonna go up. The spending is always gonna go up. The aid to fill in the blank. I mean, it's Ukraine right now. It'll probably be Turkmenistan in 2027. It'll be Azerbaijan in 2028. I mean, you know,
just making war predictions right now.
Right. The aid's always going to go out. Like this, their actions never change. You know, their words change a lot, but the actions never change. At least in my lifetime.
I mean, yeah, I haven't noticed anything other than us, you know, trying to fight a bunch of wars that are pointless.
Yeah, wars, spending. Wars, spending, war, spending, war, spending, war, spending, and that is pretty much, you can nail down government to those two things, wars and spending.
I mean, there's that talk from Eisenhower from back in the day where he like warns against the military-industrial complex and the overreach of government and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's Eisenhower.
That is Eisenhower. It's a famous one.
Yeah. We need to listen to that sometime.
Yeah. It's good. It is good. That's all I have to say.
That's all you have to say about that?
Yeah.
Hey, it's good. It's good. I like it. It's good.
Yeah. You know, like Raytheon and Boeing and, you know, all those guys. They have just like monumentally huge contracts with the government. And Lockheed Martin's another one. And, you know, the war makes them money, so keep it going.
Well, yeah. It's the same thing with like pharmaceutical companies, right? Same thing with, you know, all of these big industrial war machines, right? Like, the head of that company, well, suddenly, you know, they're either working for Congress or they're, you know, in some big position in Washington. 10 years down the line, oh, look, they're back as the head of Pfizer.
Right.
Wonder how that happened. Wild. It's almost like somebody's funding something. That's insane. And who knows how many contracts they're, you know, signing over. Who knows what's going on while these folks are in office and then they retire back to their nice... It's terrifying.
Yeah, and everything's in some kind of giant think tank, and there's like 45 different LLCs all in one big think tank.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a huge spider web of just massive corruption. I mean, there's no other word for it. But meanwhile, you know, you and me, rent goes up every year, price of food goes up.
Yeah.
Price of gas is mega volatile. To be fair, that's the only one that really changes, actually. But, you know, everything just goes up, and up. So... Yeah,
is it ever going to go down?
I mean, it'll go down eventually when the whole thing collapses.
We're just waiting for the day when I walk outside of my apartment and it's chaos out in the streets. I'm so terrified of that. I'm so scared.
Yeah, you can. It's like Venezuela, and you spend $1 million for a roll of toilet paper. That'll be the day.
Right. Yeah. I live in fear of that moment.
Well, I live in fear of giants hiding in the woods now. Think there's any giants?
Look into the missing 411. You'll get a lot of that.
What is the missing 411?
So it's definitely, in my opinion, a topic to really dive into it for another day. But if you look into the national parks around the United States, there is a string of connected missing person cases under connected circumstances where people go missing. Sorry. So, missing 411 is a phenomenon in national parks, where these strange missing person cases where people will just vanish, basically out of thin air. And this detective named David Politis, he's a former, I believe, NYPD detective, has looked into it, and it's a lot of strange situations. And a common theme in a lot of these missing person cases are people being attacked by bear men.
Bear men?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Bigfoot.
Yeah, well, it's a Bigfoot giant.
Yeah, chupacabra or something.
Yeah. So that's one of the common themes of that. And there's some crazy stories, and something that we should dive into at some point.
You can say conflate, but you can't say corroborate.
No, I'm not.
I'm not arguing the word. I'm saying a Yeti and a Chupacabra are hugely different things. Dude, a Yeti is a Bigfoot from the Himalayas that's white. Okay. A Chupacabra is some kind of weird lizard reptile, sometimes furry, in Hispaniola.
I thought a chupacabra was like a big dog, like a scary dog.
No, it's like some kind of lizard dog.
Cujo.
There's some kind of, doggish elements, but it's more lizard-like.
That's even scarier than a terrifying dog.
Yeah.
Gee, so people are just going missing in national parks, like just at random?
I mean, national parks are huge. People go missing every year, but the way this guy classifies it as a missing 411 case is like they all have like these very similar circumstances to which the person goes missing. So it's like they'll be walking with a group of people. Those people will, turn away, and like the next second, the person they're with is just gone, and they can't find them. Or it's like they'll go missing, and they will like turn up either dead or alive in like seemingly impossible places.
So like aggressively odd circumstances.
Yeah, especially with like children. A lot of times they'll find like little children, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, who will go missing and then wind up like 12 miles, as the crow flies, away from where they were, and they'll find them like 24 hours later, and it's just like covering impossible distances.
Yeah.
And just so many different weird cases like that are just completely unexplainable in like the way we understand the natural world.
Right.
And one of the common themes that a lot of them have is like they either feel like they're being chased by some creature, or they encounter some creature, and it's often, a lot of them describe it as some type of bear man or something like that. That is a theme in some of them.
That's freaky.
But going on to the chupacabra, I would pull it up. Carson, I think, is more right. There are some depictions where it is more like a dog kind of combined with the lizard.
Well, those are just some random person drew a picture. We don't know that those are accurate.
Well, yeah, but like looking into
Wikipedia would never lie, Carson.
Of course.
Look at this.
So,
dude, Wikipedia is always right. That looks like a lizard.
It does look like a wizard. I've also seen depictions of it as a dog. I've always thought of it as a dog.
Me too. Yeah. Me too.
Well, excuse me then.
Yeah, how dare you? That looks like a freaking alien from a bad 60s movie.
Chupacabra means goat sucker. When I think of a goat sucker, I would think more of a lizard than a dog.
I think of like a weird leech.
Yeah, which is closer to a lizard. Is a leech closer to a lizard or a dog?
I mean, I guess I would say closer to a lizard.
So all right. Now that we can move on, you've admitted it. Victory. The 411 stuff is super weird. I've looked into that a bunch. And the weirdest ones are the kids, dude. Like John was saying.
And they feel like they're being chased by
and sometimes they'll be and it'll be like a 3-year-old that says, "Oh, I was just walking around and then something came and got me and watched me and put me here." It's kind of crazy stuff. I've listened to probably 12 or 13 of those.
Well, I mean, stuff like that. People who say everything is easily explainable. All these people who want to just say everything's normal, the natural world is what it is, are nuts. There's weird stuff that happens out there all the time that just can't be explained by, quote, modern science, unquote. It just, that is just the way it is, period.
Yeah, man, and human population, we always hear this stuff about overpopulation, but it's really not. I mean, there's vast areas of this world where just nobody is.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, one person will go to, every like 4 weeks or something, just like massive chunks of huge wilderness. Like even in America, man, there's wilderness areas where people never go. And you have no idea what's out there, especially if there's something out there, like Bigfoot that's intelligent, or like a giant that's like not just like a bear or something, like that has our rational thinking and can hide from you.
That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
That's super scary.
Yeah. Makes you wonder. Like all legends are based in some kind of, something. Right? There's got to be some truth to it all.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
And perhaps the origin of Sasquatch is the giants that were once in America and perhaps still are.
I mean, if that's true, that would make a lot of sense. Because that's a very Sasquatchy type figure.
Right.
Long hair, a beard.
Yep. Very tall.
Sounds Sasquatchy to me.
Huge feet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. In Patagonia. I know it's not North America, but that means land of the giants. Pretty sure. So, well, that's an interesting place.
Patagonia is in Chile, right?
Yeah, it's in Chile and Argentina. It's in both.
Oh.
Yes, it is in southern Chile and Argentina.
Okay.
It's also a very expensive brand of clothes.
That's true.
Yes.
Is Patagonia also mountainous and cavernous?
And what?
And cavernous?
What is that?
Caves.
Having lots
cavernous.
of caves.
I don't know. I assume so. I thought you were saying like a name or something. I was like, is he trying to say Katniss from Hunger Games? No, I'm probably. I mean, don't all mountains have caves?
I don't know.
Probably. I don't know.
There's
I've never been there.
such huge gaps in my knowledge. Most of them centered around history and geography.
Yeah.
Massive gaps.
Well, we'll work on it because I know lots of those things and know almost nothing about popular culture.
I don't know much about popular culture either.
Well, what's your area of expertise then, bud?
I don't think I have any. I think I'm just not well informed. I think that's what we're uncovering here.
The Veritas Road, we're going to get you there.
That's the whole idea, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's the concept. Wow. All right. So giants might be out there.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the story and the episode.
I feel right now like I feel after like I hear a creepy alien or ghost story. Like I feel like on par with those.
Right.
It's terrifying.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's what it makes me feel. Like that's what it makes me feel.
Yeah, dude. Like in all seriousness, if you're a Christian, like you believe the Bible, you got to acknowledge they at least were real. You have to. There's no way around it.
Well, and I don't know if we have like time right now to go over this kind of thing, but like pick a religion. Most people in most places, at least here in the States, claim to be religious of some sort, right? The amount of wild supernatural stuff that is in religious texts, period, is huge. Like, I think that's kind of what makes a religious text that there are things in it that are otherworldly, that are, not explainable by, the day-to-day lives that we live. But most people don't behave as if they believe they're true. Like if you share a story about something that could conceivably be miraculous or, fantastical, like a giant in some way, shape, or form, we all write that off like it's nonsense. And that if you say you believe such a crazy thing, as something as most religious texts would sound to just like somebody who hasn't heard them before, then you have to acknowledge the possibility of that going on now. I feel like, right?
Yeah. Well, to summarize what you just said, if I were to go to some random guy at church and be like, "Hey, let me tell you about this story in Kandahar. There was a giant."
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "No way, dude. That's a hoax. That's ridiculous, or whatever." And be like, "Well, let me tell you about this story in Genesis, in Exodus, in Numbers. There's a giant."
Right.
So what's the difference?
Yeah.
Right. What do you actually believe?
Yeah. Exactly. Or if you read, Buddhist texts.
Are there giants in Buddha?
No, but I'm just saying, or like the Book of Mormon, or any of these religious texts that have supernatural, otherworldly things happening in them, But you're right. You go and speak to somebody who's a part of that faith, that sect, right? And claim to have heard of or experienced something similar to what's in them, and they'll just write you off immediately.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess by that line of thinking, they don't they believe something else. They don't actually believe in the Bible. They believe something else.
Yeah.
And the something else is almost always what we might call science, or what they call rational explanations for things. But, I would argue lots of this stuff isn't even rational. But,
well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, even like people who are hardcore, into thinking that people have everything figured out now, that even they'll have to admit can't be explained. Things like as simple as a bee flying or a plane flying, even to a large degree. Like those in general can't easily be explained away or explained away at all. Bees are a big one.
Yeah, dude. I've watched a little bit about that. It's crazy how bees fly. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Given like conventional aeronautics and how
the physics doesn't work out.
How we think lift works and all that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bees are cool. And they're all, dying because we all just like mow our yards constantly. But, right? Isn't that a thing? Save the bees? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real problem for a lot of people who farm like pollinated plants in urban areas, is they have a hard time getting plants that need to cross-pollinate to flourish because there's a lack of pollinators, things like bees and butterflies, because the landscape just doesn't support, their existence. It's become a huge issue in bigger urban areas.
That's sad, but what if there's a giant bee? What if there's like a 6 foot tall bee?
I need that to not be true. That it's important to me that that's not the case.
Like you were saying, with Megalodon, what if everything was just big back then and are still around somewhere?
Who knows?
How awesome would it be to tame a 6 foot tall flying bee and to ride it to places? That would be amazing.
Nope, don't want to be anywhere near a 6 foot long bee. Pass.
All right, well, I do. It'd be exciting. Because some bees are nice, dude. Like carpenter bees, they don't really sting. I mean, they're annoying, then they tear up all your stuff, but they're nice. They don't sting. So how cool would it be to tame a 6 foot tall carpenter bee?
Nope, not about that. Anything that either can sting or poison me or looks like it can, I'm good. Pass. Don't want to be around it.
I guess they could bite you, and if they bit you, and they're this tall, it's like, whatever. But if they bite you and their mouth is as big as your head, that would be another story. So maybe I'd rethink that if I actually saw it.
What a terrifying image.
But it sounds fun to me. Or like a giant. Imagine like a 40 foot tall panda, and how cool that would be. I'm just imagining giant animals in my head.
You're a special boy.
Or like a giant. What if there was a blue whale that was as big as an aircraft carrier?
Aren't they already like as big as aircraft?
Oh, they're as big as like a school bus. So, no.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah.
Hope you can forgive me.
I'll forgive you. But you don't even know what's down there in the ocean. Like all these legends of krakens and stuff. And like they didn't believe the giant squid was real until they found one. So there's no telling what's down there, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with anyone thinking, exploration is done. Scientific investigation is done. That whole the science is settled concept, idiotic. It's never true.
Yeah, it's also illogical because isn't the whole point of science to constantly refine? So how can you ever say the science is settled when it's like a process of constantly refining theories and hypotheses based on, what's the word I'm looking for? Experiment, right? So to say science is settled is in itself an oxymoron.
Well, the whole term's been co-opted.
Yeah. When people say science, they mean just, what the authorities tell them. But
yeah, well, people use the word science to refer to something as a fact, and that's just not the case. If you want to talk about the findings of a paper, that's one thing, right? But I'm backing myself into a corner that's going to take me a long time to explain out. But the whole
all right, exciting.
My whole issue with the thing is like science, as far as I'm concerned, is more of a verb than a noun, right? It's a process. The whole concept of
You're thinking of the scientific method.
Yes,
right?
Yes, I am. But the whole process of whittling down to the most rational, simplest explanation for a thing and trying to disprove whatever the your explanation for it is until such a time as it holds up over and over again. And people write papers about these things and they hand them out and they say, okay, here's what I found. Look at it and see if it's wrong. I lost track of what I was. Okay.
I gotta admit, I was getting a little sleepy there, but
I think it's time for us to be done.
You know, amen to that little soliloquy there.
Just a little rant.
Science, yeah. Science means to know. It's Latin, or the state of knowing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Now you do. There's another. We'll end on this. No, we'll end on the Green Beret because we've already agreed that we're going to try to get a copyright strike and play this Green Beret song that's apparently so fantastic. It's like Hotel California.
It's not that it's fantastic. It's just it's famous. I feel like everybody's heard it.
I've never heard of it. Gnosis or Gnosticism. It's also Greek for no. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Okay.
And on that note, we're gonna be done here as we listen to the sultry tones of the guy who sings the Green Beret. I don't know who sings it. I think he was a former Green Beret himself.
Should probably just link it. Play like 5 seconds and then link it because we will totally get a strike.
I mean, I'll cut it out in post if we need to. It's fine.
Dude,
not a big deal.
I hope it's not lagging this bad on the thing.
That's just John's computer trying to open up 4 million windows. Sergeant Barry Sadler. Staff Sergeant Barry Sadler, I believe, is what that stands for.
All right. Let me connect here.
Here we go.
Fighting soldiers from the sky.
Never heard this before?
Nope.
Dude.
Fearless men.